If a man is in the woods and speaks, is he still wrong?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
From the mountain to your street, giving you a taste of something sweet. So don't go away, sit down, take a seat. It's Midweek motivation, not drop this beat, man. That's my dog. Let's go.
Welcome to Midweek Motivation, real conversations with real people about a very real God. We have a very real person with us today, right here in the middle. Very first episode ever. We're still in the first year of being on staff, right?
I am in like month 3 of. I'm still fireable. I think.
We're still in the honeymoon phase.
Is that what that's called?
Oh, yeah. No, you're still on your honeymoon. I think your honeymoon lasts about a year.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
I think you get about a year in most places.
I was thinking of it more like a roller coaster when you like that's very slow tick up to the top where you're slightly terrified but also excited, and like you haven't experienced the drop down the cliff yet.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I would say the most scary part about your job is what's coming up this weekend.
I mean, I feel like if I can survive Easter and Candyland on the mountain, I could
the
probably
biggest
survive
weekend.
anything.
I would say Candyland around here, Christmas, and then Easter. If you can survive those things, I think in most church staff, I think if you survive those things, I think you're perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Halloween's as big a deal everywhere as as it is for us, but especially around here, if you can survive those things, I don't say that we've been coming up close to 3 years on staff, and the one thing I've learned is don't hold your job responsibilities too tightly.
As in, like, they're going to change? Or
they're going to change in a good way, usually.
Okay. Like, be added to, taken away from, both?
Yeah.
All the above.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Usually for the better. But, like, when we first came on staff, Pastor Mike we were talking to him about his job. And he's like, oh, my job's changed every year since I've been here. And he's been here 30 years. So,
as a beaver that just likes to work hard every day doing the same thing, that's a little intimidating.
Yeah, it'll be great. You've been great already. But the incomparable Mel Camper, our K3 director, right? K3, did I get that right?
K3.
Okay, perfect. Do you have any other titles
changes.
yet? Yeah, well, and there's nobody on our staff that only does one thing. So
True.
Everybody has something.
I mean, I understand I should expect more things to be put on my plate. And I keep joking with Pastor Andy, like, please don't leave me and I won't know what to do. But I'm sure that's going to come in time. So,
well, the fun thing is, I was telling somebody this one day. I really thought, okay, I've worked at a lot of small churches where here's my job. I'm the assistant pastor, but you're responsible for this tech, this groups, this welcome center, these other things, these other 12 random things. Like I used to mop the gym all the time, all those kinds of things, right?
Yes.
Those good assistant pastor things.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, well, I'm coming on staff to a big church. I have one area of responsibility. I won't be quite as busy. Wrong.
Yeah.
Completely and totally wrong.
yes.
So, in case you're wondering out there, just because you have one focused area of responsibility does not mean you're less busy.
I am learning how many hats it wears.
Kind of like in the military, or at least in the Marines specifically, every Marine a rifleman, but you still have another job.
Right.
Okay. I did tease Pastor Andy, like, he did a pretty good job of kind of making your job description clear of all the little things you do. But I teased him when I came on because I started like sorting through some tools and screws, and everything was like incredibly rusty. And I was like, you should probably add tetanus shot to that page of description. Like, make sure you have a tetanus shot.
That's always a good thing. I mean, until it starts to turn colors, you're fine. That's fine. That might be the opposite of fine. Actually, that might be too late. But
Let's hope we don't find out.
I am not a doctor, and I've never played one on TV, so I try to avoid that. I try to avoid rusty nails and rusty screws as much as possible.
I try to avoid being barefoot anywhere.
I mean, I've had that conversation with the kids on Wednesday night. And, that's one of those days you come home with, you're like, oh, what are they going to tell their mom and dad we did tonight? Because they're going to go home and say, well, Miss Mel told me I'll get warts on my feet if I don't keep my socks on. Like, I promise there was a good reason why we had that conversation.
I don't know what it is about my kids, but every time they come to the church, they feel like their shoes need to come off.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes their socks. And we'll get home and the bottoms of their feet are just black.
Yeah.
And they got sparkly grit, dust, and dirt on them. It's like,
What did you get into?
First of all, gross.
Yeah.
Second of all, thank you, because now that's being tracked through my house.
Yes.
Right. Isn't it wonderful?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm convinced that Grayson doesn't believe that he can play Gaga ball with his shoes on. Somehow he's convinced that on the concrete floor, socks are a better, get you more traction in Gaga ball than, the tennis shoes. So
Oh my goodness.
haven't figured that out yet. Don't understand. But he also hasn't cracked his head open on the floor yet. So
We're going to call that a win.
yeah.
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 I think that's wood.
Yeah.
It's at least partially wood. I think we'll count it.
Yes.
But yeah, Mel, you've been on staff now 3 months, right? Are we officially 3 months?
Yeah, so it was fun. Like my phone call was like New Year's Eve day.
Yeah.
And Andy was like, congratulations, you're officially hired. You'll start on Sunday. By the way, we also start 21 days of prayer and fasting. That is required for all full-time staff. And I was like, oh.
See you at 6 a.m. in a couple days.
Yeah. I mean, it was good, but it was also like, that was a big surprise. Like,
Yep.
oh, okay. But I think that was providential. Like the Lord used that to sort of, I don't know, prep my heart for like all the things.
Oh, yeah,
that was a good thing.
absolutely.
But yeah, so
And we
January.
had you hit the ground running
Yes,
and
yeah,
flying fast.
We are
Yeah.
early risers
Yeah.
around here.
Oh, absolutely.
yes. I mean, some of that was a smooth transition though, like going
Yeah.
from being on his dream team already.
Right.
But it was kind of overwhelming and eye opening to like find out all the things that you do that. I mean, I've been in there for 4 or 5 years, but you had no idea. You know,
Right.
you're like, oh, you have to do that. Like, and not a bad thing, but just like, oh, we should probably tell our volunteers, like,
Yeah.
hey, this is what's going on and why, and to just make them, I don't know, more aware of like what we're doing and why we're asking what we're
Right.
asking. So that was an interesting process of like, oh,
Well,
Yeah.
and two, you had the good and the almost a little bit of the downside. Maybe the scary part is you're following two great K3
yes,
leaders.
That was
We've been
intimidating.
privileged to have your two predecessors are
Yes.
fantastic. Like
Yes.
two of the best people in ministry I've ever met. Austin and Lindsay, both
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah.
My kids have loved both of them. I
Yes.
love both of them. They've moved away and taken different opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
and that's big shoes to fill. Which
Big time.
I think
And
you're
I
feeling
think-
great, by the way, just in
thank
case
you.
you're wondering.
Because
Think
for
you're
me,
doing great.
it was like I was serving under them and seeing how much they loved on these kids and how much these kids love them, and you think like, I mean, you don't want what people think of you to impact what you're doing, but
Yeah.
you hope people like you,
Right.
and so when these kids, you're thinking, am I going to love one? Am I going to love them as well? And two, like, are they going to feel that from me?
Yeah.
And I still remember like one of my first Wednesday nights. And, we're having to tiptoe through the preteen room to get where we needed to be and wanting to be respectful of wherever they are in their night. And I stood at the door and I was like, we're going to be so quiet because Miss Lindsay is in there teaching. And I mean, they just eyeballs lit up like a Christmas tree. Miss Lindsay's here. And I was like, oh, wrong Miss Lindsay. So I had to like make the distinction, like
Yeah.
Miss Lindsay Miller that teaches
Right,
fourth
right.
and fifth. So it hit you like you have some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
But I think it's been good. I think they've been very gracious to me.
I mean, like you said, you've been in it for a few years. Like the
Yeah.
kids were already familiar with you.
Yeah.
When Lacey asked me, she said, "Who's going to be our next, teacher or whatever?"
Yeah.
I said, "I think it's going to be Miss Melanie." She's like, she did a high kick and she said, "Cool." She just walked
good.
away.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
I tell you, I think this is your story and kind of how you came to be on staff and where you're at now. I think is generally speaking one of the best ways that you can come to be in a position like that.
Yeah.
Because you grow up in it a little bit, right?
Yes.
You get the perspective of what it's like as a volunteer and being on the dream team,
Yeah.
and then you kind of grow into it a little bit, right? And we don't have to teach you to love Parkway, right? You don't have to you don't have to learn who Parkway is, right? You get to hit the ground running. You're already a part of the team, right?
Yes.
Now you get to peek a little behind the curtain and
Yes.
obviously have a little more responsibility now. But I love that, generally speaking, and I think that's I think one of the hardest things is bringing in somebody cold from the outside.
Yeah.
they may be great and greatly experienced, but they don't understand the culture. They have to take time to learn the culture and understand the DNA. And I love that as Parkway grows, we're going to get to do more and more of that. So I got my eye on a couple of people that I want to put through a story like you, and you know who you are. But no, they don't watch this. But talk to us a little bit about how did you end up, maybe how you ended up at Parkway, and then kind of ended up, what brought you into serving on the Dream Team, and then walk us through kind of how you came to be on staff where you're at now.
Okay. I guess just the Reader's Digest version. I've been involved in different churches throughout the Roanoke Valley in I think 20 years now that I've lived here. And just going where the Lord, directs you to go. And I've been that parent, and I think He gave me that for this job where I was somewhere that I loved, that I was being fed and I thought was great, but my kids weren't thriving there. And so that was helpful to me. Then here I am 10 years later and recognizing, and I actually made a joke about it before I really knew Dustin, up in an Equip where I said, like, he could take his Ritalin and knock it out of the park upstairs, but if we aren't loving families well downstairs, they will go somewhere else.
Yep.
And I think I hurt his feelings, and I didn't mean to do that. But just meaning to say, you could be excellent in feeding your adults, but if your kidsman isn't loving your families well, then they've got to go somewhere that's going to love their families well. So I'd been in that place before where I had to kind of make that choice. And just for whatever, I still haven't, there's days where you're like, why did you bring me here? And so He brought me here. And actually it was a funny story because I've always worked with kids, and I've always worked in kids ministry, starting as like a teenager in the nursery. And when I came in here, it was May, and it was Pastor Mike making the announcement that they were going to be doing a VBS and they needed help. And I thought, okay, I'm a total stranger. They may not want total strangers to come in here and do this, but I was like, hey, I can help with VBS. And so I went and introduced myself to Pastor Andy. I signed up, and then days before it happened, my mom's mom passed away. So I had to bow out, and I thought, oh my gosh, you're this new person, and he's going to label you as one of those flaky people that signs up and then doesn't show up. And so then the next, I think it was I'd taken Equip, which was super, and as someone that was raised in church, you think, I don't need to do that.
Right.
I already know I believe what I believe, but no, it was super helpful to be in. I think that helped with the culture part.
Oh, yeah.
Just learning that. And even just some of the neat stuff of taking the class in college, but then kind of going through again, why do we believe the Bible? So that was really helpful as someone that went to Christian school. It still was valuable to me to have done that. So, side push there, take Equip.
Shameless plug for Equip. If you've not taken Equip, I don't care how long you've been in Parkway. Could be 1 week, could be 1,000.
Yes.
Take Equip if you haven't.
So then in that, it was, okay, what are your gifts? What are your talents? So, and we're going to hand you off to the person that's leading that ministry. So I got handed off to Pastor Andy and, jumped right in, serving as K1 Girls Small Group Leader on Sunday mornings at 10:30. And so by the time, Easter hit, so my first Easter Parkway was you'd been a small group leader for 4 or 5 months, and show up that morning. And back then we were having the groups in individual classrooms kind of to start the morning.
Yeah.
Then you went into the large group time for the lesson, and then you went back into your room to end the day. And I had 27 girls by myself. We didn't even fit in the room with a table and chairs. And we had to break down a table and chairs and just sit them on the floor. And so it was if I can survive that, I can survive anything, right? We don't do that to you now. So that's good news. If you're oh, I don't want to help in kids.
Yes, we've grown, and our dream team has grown. So that's not the case anymore.
Yes, thank God. But it was that, okay, if you can do this, you can do anything. And then, so then the next VBS came around. And I was like, all right, you know me now. I'm not going to flake on you. And then my daughter, we found out she was working that summer. It was her first go. It was trying to be a helper person at camp. And I had to pull her and take her to the doctor. And we found out she had Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I had to bail on VBS again. So I think Pastor Andy gave me a hard time about that for a while, but I think I showed myself faithful. And it's showing up for those kids. I would say that's one big thing from when I started to what it is now is Then it was more on the small group leader to sort of prep outside of Sunday, pick the things from the curriculum that you're going to use. And you're doing that in a room on your own. And we've changed the format for a couple of reasons. So you're not doing it that way anymore.
Right.
Now you're staying together as a whole group the whole time, but we're separated on rugs in the room by age group. So you still have an adult like with that group of kids, but the lessons all taught from the stage, all the stuff is done from the stage. And then just the individual small group leader's role is to just encourage the kids to be participating. And then when we've finished hearing the story, ask them the questions about the story that are already printed, and you can kind of pick and choose from those questions if you want, and that's sent out ahead of time. So what's required of someone to serve in Kidsmen has changed, I think, for the better, so that it's more focused on the building relationships and just showing up for them than it is on like prep outside of Sunday.
Yeah.
So that was a huge help for me just in that phase that I was in life. But then Andy kind of had hit me a couple times with like, hey, we really want to hire someone part-time for this. And it was like, well, I have to be able to feed 3 kids. Like I can't do that. But honored that you asked, and a couple of times over like 2 years of, well, hey, we want to hire someone part-time for this. And I can't do that, or I don't think that's me, and so finally just the stars aligned. Yeah. The job I'd had before, I felt like the Lord was calling me away from, for a couple of reasons. And then I had this crazy idea that I was like, I'd worked with kids my whole life. I'm not going to do that. I want to go be an adult and do adult things and wear adult clothes and, not live in tennis shoes and squats. And that lasted for 2 months. And that was the hardest thing I've ever done. Yeah. And lots of tears. And I was like, this is not it. And so then I think when Lindsay had let Pastor Annie know that she felt called back home, and he asked me like, would you pray about, that man's probably tired of me crying because I just started bawling like, okay, Lord, like, I've hated this thing I've stepped into. I think I was obeying you to do, but I don't think this is it, And so I remember being in that position for the 2 months that I was and just feeling this hunger, like to go, it felt like go home. Like the church is home. Yeah. And, but not knowing what that would mean, and then when he called, feeling like, okay, But then even with that, it was like these kids have walked through 3 people in as many years, and they've fallen in love with each of them. And then for whatever reason, they've, had to step away from that role. And I think that was the biggest pull for me of like, I do not want to say yes to something that I decide 2 months later wasn't a good fit. Yeah. And it was shadowing Lindsay on a Wednesday night down there and just being in the space with those kids. And I'd never done Wednesday night and just the dynamics a little different, a little more relaxed maybe. And it was like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, don't let anyone come in here and hurt these kids, and feeling like these are your people that he's given you a heart to love. So love them. Yeah. Will you love them? Was what the ask to do the job felt like. Will you love all of these kids? Yeah. You've loved K1 girls for 4 years. Will you love all of these kids? Yeah. And it was, there's like a song leader that I love, and she'd done like a workshop for worship leaders. And kind of her sort of ending takeaway was where God speaks to Abraham, asking him to sacrifice Isaac. And he says, here I am. And she was like, it might be more accurate to translate that as before you ask, yes. And that's what that felt like driving down this mountain from that first conversation about, would you take this job? Yeah. And I still remember going around the curve and then hearing, before you ask, yes. Yeah. And that just sold it for me. Right. So I might cry in my office some days when something's hard. And we joked about we need like a bingo card where like, and one of the free spot is going to be like Mel cries. But I love it, and I know it's what you wanted me to do. And then I joke with Andy that like if you ask someone long enough, like don't stop asking, they're going to relent and say yes. Yeah. So here I am.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's great.
I think I think an important thing that we need to hit too is one, there's a couple things out of that. One, it's God clearly knew that he wanted you here, and he knew when he wanted you here. Yeah. Right. So I think the important thing is Andy thought he wanted you here at
Yeah.
one point,
Yeah.
right? But that's not when God wanted you here.
Right.
Right. And God worked it out to where your job had changed. You had tried some other things.
Yeah.
And then there was an opening.
Yeah.
Right. You weren't available when Andy wanted you.
Right.
Right. So that's no shot at Andy.
No.
Maybe a little bit of shot at Andy. But you weren't available when Andy wanted you originally.
Yeah.
Right. So how cool is it that, one, points to Andy for continuing to work on you, right? Knowing that, hey, she's the right person, but this isn't the right time.
Yeah.
Right. Because maybe had you taken the job at that time, things would not be what they are now.
Right.
Right. So what I love about that is God worked all of it out in the right timing. He created the right position at the right time and created the right opening in your life for you to be able to take that.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you take the right position at the wrong time, it's not the right position, right?
Right.
Which is just life, basic
Yes.
adult life. If you're younger out there in your early working life, the right position at the wrong time is the wrong position, right?
Yes.
Just so you know, take it from some people that are older and have learned a few things. It's okay. All mine fell out. All mine fell out, and then the grays that I get are like right in here.
Yeah.
It's super fun.
Yeah. They have started for me as well.
Well, the red covers up yours.
It does.
It's not as noticeable.
It just-
I already have blonde hairs, but some of them are gray, and you just can't tell.
Mine is just super contrasted against my dark beard, and
Yes.
then the hair's just gone.
Yes.
So, but I think that's the beauty of you. You were able to trust God's timing,
Yeah.
right? And you said yes at the right time, right? You said yes to the right thing at the right time, not the right thing at the wrong time,
Yeah.
right? Which I think is just a real powerful thing, and something that I don't think you pull off if you're not tuned into what Christ is saying,
Yeah.
right? And available. The second thing I think is interesting, what you said there too, is there are probably people that are very bought in volunteers. I've got a couple on my team right now. I could tell you that are like more bought in than probably some staff members on churches, right? But they keep their secular job because that's what they're called to, right? Some people, not everybody is called into ministry, right? Not in every season, right? And so, talk to us a little bit about how did you know? Okay, this is the time to leave the secular world, right? And now I'm going to work in vocational ministry, because it can be, working in the church can be nice and exciting and fun and can feel like a good thing, right? And you can enjoy it, but it's not the right spot for you. And that's okay. It's not the right spot for everybody, right? So talk to us a little bit, how did you know, like, now's the time for me to start moving from dream team and volunteer, and I'm bought in because I'm a believer and I love this church, versus this is where I belong on staff?
It's funny you talking, and the word you used was available. And that was something that years ago, I think he just made me aware of, like, be available.
Yeah.
And for whatever it is that he wants you to do. And sometimes you're not going to like it, or at first, I would say at first. But if it's what he wants you to do, he's going to make you love it. So I think it's just been, one, being available, but alongside being available was being obedient. And so I feel like that's been just a journey of, if you're in Christ, if you're reading your Bible, if you're talking to him in prayer, it's a relationship. You say that. Like, I grew up in church. I remember youth pastors saying,
Right.
It's a relationship.
It's not a religion, it's a relationship.
Yes, thank you. That line, right? But not even really understanding that until I was an adult. Like, no, just like your best friend, it's a relationship. And so, and sometimes maybe our prayers just end up being this laundry list we shoot to heaven, and trying to learn to listen.
Yeah.
And I think, at least for me, maybe just because of my tender heart, I think he uses songs a lot for me to, like, speak to moments in my life.
Yeah.
Where either something's coming that he knows, like, I need to be ready for. And so he gives me the song for that. But just, I think obedience is something that I've taken very seriously, but not out of this legalistic obey, but like if you love me, you'll obey me. And not like I've even heard a sermon about that, like it's an indicative It's if you love me, you're going to obey me.
Right.
And so when he asks, obey him, like walk in that, and that there's such a covering in that obedience. And so, all those times, picking fun at Andy for asking me to work in different roles and just not feeling like that's what the Lord had for me.
Right.
I kind of hit an identity crisis when the word came, like, I want you to put this down. The job I'd had for 19 years.
Yeah.
And it was something I loved. And I remember talking even to my husband when he went through a job transition of, there's things you can do, but what has he put you on this earth to do?
Yeah.
And recognizing, okay, the gifts and the talents he's given me, I am using all those things to do what he's put me on this earth to do. But even in that, what felt like a perfect fit for a very long time, still listening and receiving when I believe he said to me, I want you to put that down. And me literally being like, I'm sorry, what?
Come again?
This is how I feed my children. Like, you want me to what? And walking that, what was a frightening, like, it was the Abraham, I want you to go.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you where you're going, but I want you to go.
Right.
And being like, then Lord, you're going to have to help me trust you because that sounds terrifying. And so, following in that obedience of, okay, if I'm supposed to put that down now, then I have to trust that he's got whatever it is that he has for me next. And that little period where it was like, all right, I'm going to try and be an adult. And with adults, like, I even felt his hand like leading me in that direction and sitting back in hindsight going, there's got to be a lot of reasons he walked me through that because it didn't feel like the right fit, but I don't think I disobeyed him. I think he used it to teach me things about myself, about him, about even just finding like, because you can battle burnout, right? Like I served in K1 for a season feeling burnt out because my job was working with kids and showing up with literally just the drive of you will be letting people down if you don't show up. So show up.
Right.
And he was faithful even through that, right? And those kids, thank God, didn't feel that, right? But I think he gave me that season so that I would have this desire of like, I'm not going to go do that anymore, so that I would find out how much I missed it. Like it was like a reminder of this is the heart I've placed in you is kids.
Right.
You can try and run away from that and it's going to hurt, right? And so just, I guess for me, it was availability and obedience.
Yeah.
If you're in those two places, then you're where you need to be.
Yeah.
And he's going to make it clear. He's not going to hide that from you. He's going to challenge you to trust him without all the answers, but he's going to have you right where he wants you.
Yeah.
And then feeling that peace of like, Easter's coming and how many eggs, but like, this is right where you're supposed to be.
Right.
And so I even remember it was a week or two ago, feeling overwhelmed about all the things. And I'm a very visual person, so walking to my car, and I can remember exactly where I was on the sidewalk and what I was looking ahead at, and literally hearing him say, till death take you, or the Lord release you.
Yeah.
Like, you will do this.
That's good.
And it was just, then help me obey you.
Yeah.
With joy. And he does.
That's awesome. Man. Yeah, I think I've had the similar thoughts. Like we've been fortunate. I've been able to work in ministry most of my adult career, and there's moments where it's like real frustrating and it's hard and it's difficult. And this more recently, like I've had these thoughts similar to what the disciples said. Like I couldn't tell you where it was because I'm not that good, but near the end of Jesus' ministry, Jesus looks at his disciples and he says, you guys going to leave me too? Right? Because a huge swath of his disciples that we don't know the names of have just, walked away because it got hard. Right. And he looks at, these 12 guys, his best friends in the world. And he says, you guys out too? And they're like, where else can we go? And I've had that same thought, like, what else would I do? Like, I don't want to do anything else. Yeah. This is where I belong. This is where God has me. So what else would be better? Yeah. Right. Like every job I've ever had is insanely frustrating at times. Like
just pick your pain, right?
Well, we were just talking with our kids, like Hudson's applying for jobs. And I was explaining to him, like, you realize everywhere you go, you're going to have people that you work with that drive you crazy, right? Like Trevor, I drive him crazy all the time.
He does not.
Right?
Nobody here drives me crazy.
I know
Well, I'm relieved
we're
to
very
hear that.
fortunate. We're very fortunate, but but that's just reality. And I love that idea of, one, you've got to be tuned in to what Christ has for you. You've got to be connected to Christ to know where it is. That's how you get where God wants you, right? You have to be connected. But once God puts you where he wants you, like, that's how you get to that moment of like, here I am, like, let's do it.
And that leap of faith feels less like a leap and more like just a step. It's not really a leap. It's just like, okay, well, now I see why you wanted me here, or why you made me wait this long, or whatever the case may be. I came from the corporate world. I've had quite a few different jobs in different fields, and none of them felt fulfilling or satisfying. And then, the unthinkable happens to our family, and you think, okay, this isn't fair. What did I do to deserve this? But meanwhile, towards the end of the journey, an opportunity opens up, and then you're like, God, is this you?
Yeah.
And you pray about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy cow, that's why all of this has happened in the order that it did.
Right.
You don't realize on the journey just exactly how God is molding you for the opportunity, or preparing other things to get you to this spot where he wants you to be. It's really, it's cool. I mean, you can't make these things up.
Yeah.
Nobody's that creative.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that I wish I would have understood, like, early on in my life. Like, just step back, put your trust in God. God really will work it out, because it sounds so cliche. It's like, oh, just trust God. Like, he'll direct your steps. Like, it sounds so cliche.
Yeah.
But once you see it, and once you can look back, and maybe this is just the benefit of age, right? Maybe you just have to learn it the hard way, right? But once you can look back and see how God ordered your steps and guided your, man, that makes it so much easier to actually sit back and say, all right, here I am.
Yeah.
Like, we can do this. Like, when did you let me down?
Yeah.
When did you leave me high and dry? When did you fail me? Like, oh, you didn't actually. Actually, you worked everything out. Even when it didn't look like it was going to, you did it all, right? So it's amazing how, at least for me, as I've gotten older, I've learned, like, I can actually trust God. And he's actually going to do what he said he did, right? And you don't get it. I wish you could make kids understand it, and I don't think you can understand it until you've seen it.
Some things you have to experience.
Yes, and I think this is one of those. So just be encouraged if you're out there, no matter if you're struggling with career, family, life, general things, whatever. Like, it sounds cliche, but it's true. You can really trust God to God. And I'll tell you one other thing that I'm grateful for. You have married my new hero. So we got to talk about Keith for a second. I hate printers. I can't tell you how much I hate printers, right? I've been the tech guy everywhere I've been my whole life, and I've always hated printers. Nothing I hate more than printers. And then I met your husband, and you're telling me how much he loves printers. And I love that. And he's experienced. So shout out to Keith Camper.
He's like unofficial tech team.
Yes.
Kidsman tech team.
He has been a godsend. So no shade on you and the value that you bring, but good heavens, you have married well. Keith is fantastic. I love Keith.
Yep.
And selfishly, I love him for being really good with
Shout
printers.
out to all the printer techs out there.
Or all
You're
of the
real
spouses
heroes.
that are like unpaid staff, right?
Yes,
Like,
good
that
heavens.
was a realization. He made some joke about being like the highest paid unpaid staff person at Parkway staff,
Yes.
And that's true of every spouse, I think.
And they learn that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
They learn what it's like. Not everybody loves it all the time, but they get there, but yeah, they learn a little bit of what that's like. And again, that's another thing I don't think anybody prepares you for until you're in it.
Yeah. And he's been an example too of obedience. Like he came in here and was like, I'll sit in the tech booth back there in kids' church. I don't know if you want me in charge of something. And he was back there and reliable. And then when I came on, with staff and just some transition that happened with people feeling called in different directions.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, guess what? Now you're a small group leader. And it actually, I kind of have made a joke with a few people that it sort of hurts my feelings that these children that you've poured into every week, right? You've showed up every week for them and you love on them and they know Miss Mel loves them and they will fly right past you to go get, a hug from Mr. Keith or walk up to you. And because his own outside of church job means he has to work some Sundays. And so there's some Sundays he can't be here. And they will come up to me, hands on their hips, and big old, Miss Mel, where's Mr. Keith? And I'm like, nice to see you too, But it's like this thing though that you dads just have with kids that's really kind of unfair for us moms that are like working hard to be the nurturing one. And like all you have to do is run in that room with your arms out and they all come running and love on you. So I'm like, hey,
unless they need something.
I mean, that true. They will walk right past you.
They will walk right past us every time.
Doing something to get what they need. But selfish plug, like if you're a dad, like all you need to do is show up. Like these kids are going to love you and your heart will fall in love with them.
Right.
And that was something even sweet he said from Sunday. Just, teams that have been like helping at Vinton. And so we haven't seen some kids. And he made a comment about, that there was a kid that he hadn't seen in a few months and that, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe how big she's gotten. And that she said she missed her Keith hugs. And that just melted his heart. And to look at him like walking across the parking lot, he can look intimidating, big, tough, mean guy. And like, no, he's this big teddy bear marshmallow that is there for all the hugs and that they love him and all he had to do was show up.
Right.
So it's like, you don't have to work hard.
Yeah.
They just love these kids. And
no special skills required.
No.
Not for kids ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, no special skills required for something big that's happening this Sunday.
Oh,
this Sunday is Easter. Do you like that segue? I'm just going to call out how good that segue was. Not to be, too much on myself, but man, nobody does this. I did this one day, and my kids had no idea what that was. So
when we date ourselves,
I'm learning more and more my age. I also mentioned Barbara Walters, my kids, the other day, and they had no idea who that was, but that was cool. But happening this Sunday after I patted myself on the back for my segue and ruined it. This Sunday is Easter. If there is a Super Bowl in the Christian calendar, it is this Sunday. It's going to be a great Sunday. Easter's always amazing. Every Sunday at Parkway is amazing. I'm looking forward to Easter, not only in the service, but also following the service. Something special is happening, and you're really excited about it, I'm sure, and not in the least concerned or nervous about how it's going to go.
Deviled eggs.
Deviled eggs. Mel's bringing deviled eggs for everybody that attends on Sunday.
Let's go.
Or if you're sanctified, I think they're called resurrection eggs.
Hey, there you go. Well, I won't. Oh, shoot. I'll miss them. I'll be in Vinton Sunday, so I can't have
chocolate.
I do get chocolate.
Yes, there is chocolate.
I want to come to Vinton.
Yeah, my kids. Yeah.
Yes, no chocolate on the mountain, but we will have 25,000 eggs.
25,000.
Littered all over the lawn.
Yes. I got to say, the most fun thing I've done since I've worked here was when we were trying to figure out, we needed to add more eggs to prep for Vinton 2 and get them sorted into tubs. And it was like, where are we going to sort 25,000 eggs?
Dump out the bin.
And so what we figured out, because at first I was like, do we take my chairs out of my room and do it in there? And I was like, I don't think that's going to work. And then it hit us, props to Pastor Andy, his idea. We have we call it the pit in the kids' yard.
Yeah.
And it's been various things in its life, but it is currently a foam pit that has a gigantic crash pad full of foam in it. It looks like a massive pillowcase. So it's like wrestling a dead body. So I know I would not be able to move dead bodies quickly or easily, but I wrangled that thing out of this gigantic pit. And we dumped all of the eggs in the pit. And the most fun I have had yet at this job was, stepping in. And you don't want to break the eggs. So you kind of got to wiggle your leg to get down to the bottom and find the floor. And then once you've got both your feet on the floor, we need to stir up all these eggs, right? To get the new colored eggs mixed in with the other ones. And so you're like a gigantic blender with your legs trying to swirl with your arms and your legs, eggs in this, up to your knees in eggs. So that was the most fun thing I have done so far, to get ready for Easter and get all those tubs, filled and sorted. And then shout out to church. I'm going to admit, my doubting Thomas heart was like, am I going to be spending a month stuffing eggs myself? And no, absolutely not. These church people have showed up and they have filled all those tubs with eggs to get ready to serve our community. And that's just something that's really been, it was convicting for me that you doubted that these people would show up for you,
Yeah.
you know, and absolutely not. They have. And that now we are in a great place
Yeah.
to receive a huge crowd on Sunday. And it's not kids walking home with 10 eggs. Like,
Yeah.
they're going to have a basket full.
There's going to be a ton of eggs.
Yes. Do not forget your Easter basket.
Yes.
Because you're going to need it. So, and 125 golden tickets.
Yes.
And so that was probably the second most fun I've had, is getting to go buy prizes for them for if they have a golden ticket, and they go up to the booth and they get to redeem their ticket and pick a prize.
Were you singing like the little Oompa Loompa songs every time you stuck them? I mean, it had to have come to mind.
The kids have no idea
No,
either.
Yeah.
still have no idea.
No,
I don't think my
you
kids
just
have ever
dated
seen
yourself.
Yeah. Thank you.
it. Welcome to the other side, Trevor.
Yep. But and even like, okay, so I didn't know, I knew we have a nursery Easter egg hunt, and then we have a preschool section, and then the K3 section, and then the preteen for 4th and 5th.
Yeah. That's where all the elbows get thrown.
Yeah, I guess so. And that's why we stick them on the back end where you can't watch the violence, I guess.
Yes.
And they
But
might
like
fall down the hill.
that, I mean, how bad do you want that egg, right?
Right.
But nursery, I mean, I was like, Pastor Andy, I mean, are crawling babies in here? And he was like, you bet they are. So if your kid is mobile in any capacity,
Sure.
they can safely hunt for eggs.
Yeah.
And mom and dad can go pick their golden ticket if they win one. So
Right.
we will have golden tickets in every section, and we have prizes for every age group. So
Right.
it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think there was one year where the let's go was like a thing, and it kept being like this false start. So as I understand it, Pastor Andy will have a foghorn.
Yes.
And there will be confetti cannons, and that is how you will know it is time to release the Kraken. I mean, the children.
Right.
So.
No, you had it right.
Similar.
That's
Yeah,
exactly the
same
way
thing.
it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a great Sunday. We're looking forward to it. And more than anything, the kids are going to have fun, but they're going to get to experience Jesus, experience worship.
Oh, goodness gracious.
all
He said
together.
experience.
Experience.
I didn't even
Ooh.
intend on that. That was good.
That was
Look
slick.
at that. Thanks for calling it out. That was perfect.
You're welcome.
He didn't have to pat his own back this time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for doing that. I appreciate that. You're still hired.
All right.
But yeah, come and join us Sunday. Join us online. If you can't make it, invite a friend to worship online with us. We'll be here at 9 and 10:30 online and in person. We'll be here at 6 a.m. for sunrise.
Yeah.
Bright and early. We actually beat the sun most Sundays. It's going to be great. And then we'll be outside. We are praying against the weather, so pray with us against the weather.
Cafe will be open at 7:00.
Cafe's open at 7, sunrise at 6, worship at 9 and 10:30, 10:30 in Vinton.
And also, don't forget, Thursday is our Maundy Thursday
Yes.
worship prayer service that we have here on the mountain. That starts at 6:30.
Yep, prayer starts at 6
Yes.
in the Overlook room. You can come and pray beforehand. Cafe's open 5 to 6. It's going to be fantastic.
5:30 to 6:30.
5:30 to 6:30.
Yes.
That's it. That's why I pay you the big bucks.
I just had a conversation about it.
Details are unimportant. Somebody else can figure that out. But yeah, Monday, Thursday, and then Sunday as well. It's going to be a big day. God's going to be honored, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. Mel, it's been a great 3 months. It's been a great couple of years in volunteer staff. And it's great to have you on staff now. I will speak as a dad. You only get one of my kids now, but you've had a couple of my kids, and I'm so honored and glad that you're responsible for my kids and that you're leading that dream team. I'm very proud of all of our next gen team. Like, as a dad, all of my kids are in the next gen world, and I couldn't ask for a better team to be discipling my kids.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so honored to have them, and I feel so comfortable with, like, I think you said it in the beginning, like, take your kids somewhere where they're being discipled and fed well.
They are literally little disciples.
Yes, 100%.
Telling everybody they know about church and Jesus.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. I love it. So keep up the great work. She needs dream team. So if you are called in that area, we don't want you if you don't want to work with kids like me.
Yeah.
I have
Deserve our
kids.
best.
I don't work with kids. That's
Same,
not
bro.
my thing.
Yeah.
But if you feel called to work with kids, Mel has a place that you can serve and thrive and grow, and maybe one day you'll be even on staff if that's what God has for you. But follow your calling. But yeah, thanks for joining us for another episode of Midweek Motivation. Have a great week. Stay motivated.
Stay motivated, my friend.
Let's go.